Hi, everyone, and welcome to EXL Data Sources' new series on cost-conscious data management. We're doing a few of these focused on our different capabilities, and the first one is going to be on cloud. So we'll have a few different sessions on cloud. This one is on adapting to disruption. With me right now is Eric Linneman, our Cloud Competency Director, and Chun Wu, our Solution Architecture Competency Director. I'm Allison Foster, and I'm the Marketing Lead for EXL Analytics and Data Source Consulting. So I'll just jump right in. Eric, in these interesting times that we're in now, what is driving people to the cloud?
It's a good question, Allison. You know, we're going through a lot of disruption right now. We're looking forward to a new normal, but what's driving this is still the business needs. Companies need the ability to change and adapt their IT to align with business changes. They need to be able to support more rapid changes in the environment, their workforce, the demands, the ability to integrate partners, new product, new abilities. And we're seeing this really, the cloud is driving nimbleness, and moving data to the cloud is providing capabilities that we haven't seen before. John?
And Eric, what I'll add to that is what we are seeing with our clients is they're looking for a more efficient solution. How can we implement a robust, scalable solution faster and cheaper? And one specific area that we touch on a lot, it's around data gravity. Having the processing and the compute much closer to the data, reduce the unnecessary data movement to improve performance and reduce cost. And a lot of time, you know, that may result in a non-pure cloud solution, like a hybrid architecture. So those are some of the areas that, you know, we're seeing a lot and talking to the clients a lot about.
Great, thank you. And just to give people a little bit of a background, Eric, can you give a big picture of the different cloud components?
Sure. At its core, there's 3 S's: servers, services, and storage. And built upon that, there's process and a lot of custom product and services that are coming along. Layering on top of that, there's network, security, cost model, which we're going to talk about down the road, and other features and capabilities for availability, reliability, and elasticity of the solutions.
All right, now kind of on the other side here, what are some of the pitfalls when moving to the cloud?
Why don't I take that one, Allison? So some of the common pitfalls that we see are clients are making it too complex, trying to over-engineer their first step into the cloud. There's no need to dive headfirst with every single new technology and new offering from the cloud vendor on day one. Another common mistake that we see a lot is over provisioning of the services that they need. Instead of planning out for the next 2 to 3 years, like we typically do with building a data center, let's conduct a workload and cost planning exercise first. You know, and you can also try before you buy in the cloud. So that's another area that we see people make a mistake a lot. And then I would say the last common pitfall that we see is a lot of the normal IT hygiene and practice are being overlooked just because they're going into the cloud. For example, backup, data recovery, disaster recovery, monitoring and notifications. So I would say those are probably some of the top common pitfalls that we see. Eric, do you have anything else to add to that?
Sure. There's a couple other things that come into play. You know, the cloud brings a different security model, and adapting to that, training people, getting folks skilled up to be able to work effectively in the cloud is important. But also be aware that there's resistance you'll find if people don't embrace the effort that's going on And that can lead to shadow IT, which raises cost, complexity, and opens up vulnerability to security and just lack of trust in the data. So making the cloud migration an effort that's cohesive across the entire organization is critical to making it successful in the cloud.
Right, thank you. Now, over the last few months, as everything has been changing, have you noticed any differences in the way that companies are implementing cloud in terms of their design and architecture? Any shortcuts due to budget?
Yeah, we're seeing an urgency. Speed to market and more rapid return on investment is helping to drive the way that companies are approaching the cloud, looking at frameworks and reference architectures to reduce complexity and get a quicker, more positive result. We're also seeing more tolerance for technical risk, since cloud it doesn't involve that long-term contracted effort with a vendor. People can take an effort to try something out, to experiment with technology, to look at new deployments, new capabilities. And we're also seeing that smaller, more focused cloud projects are happening quicker. People are looking at getting something in the cloud fast, adapting to this changing environment that we're living in, and looking at driving innovation. Gartner's saying that there's a 9.7% cost reduction in overall data center spend, and that money is all going to the cloud.
Thanks, Eric. Thank you. So could you give us just a few examples of how things are changing in terms of use cases that you've seen?
Yes, Allison. Yeah. So I can definitely give a couple examples of what actually we've seen with some of our clients. A couple years ago, we did an implementation with one of our clients, getting them to the cloud. And the approach at that time was very cautious, making sure everything is ready, built out a full roadmap. And it was a very successful implementation. And it was, getting exactly what they needed. And they just recently re-engaged us again a couple months ago. But the approach that they're taking now it's a bit different. It's similar to what Eric has mentioned. They are taking a bit more risk, smaller and faster approach, more agile, going for the quick wins. So that's an example that we have seen with one of our clients. And then a couple of the clients that we also work with, we see a lot of, I would say, the multi-cloud solutions. Rather than waiting for everything to be integrated, consolidated into one single place, we're seeing a lot more multi-cloud solutions, SaaS application integrations, and data integration across multiple cloud vendors. So those are a couple of examples I have seen with the client that we worked with recently.
Okay, great, thank you. And for both of you, actually, what do you each see happening in the market over the next few weeks and months for the biggest cloud players right now?
So going into 2020, we've seen a slowdown in the percentage growth of the cloud, which is natural. The cloud's been growing at such a rapid pace for 10 years now that eventually it's going to reach that point where the growth is slowing. But we're seeing tremendous growth in some cloud services. For example, Zoom, which is up 355% revenue-wise this year. Our partner Snowflake, that is at 147% growth. My prediction is that coming out of COVID, we're going to see an acceleration of overall cloud spend as companies are looking at this new normal as an opportunity to modernize their platform, to move to the cloud, become more nimble, and align really with the ability to sustain disruptions, change, and new demands.
And from my perspective, my prediction is we're going to see a lot more creative or more efficient solutions. And what I meant by that, I mentioned a couple of those examples that we've seen with our clients. multi-cloud solutions, trying to do things cheaper and faster. We're working with a couple of our clients trying to come up with a metadata-driven data pipeline framework, parameter-driven template, different data model accelerators. And all those are approved and examples of how we are trying to get things done faster and cheaper and more creative when it comes to solutioning of the problems and the architectures needed.
Allison, we're also seeing that businesses recognizing some of the unavoidable costs of traditional IT that traditionally have been buried. Things going beyond just the lease, power, cooling, hardware, those kind of things. But also the effect that it has on the business, the lack of agility, the need to expand at a rate that they can't support with a traditional IT environment. We'll see more of that going forward, and we're going to see businesses looking and demanding more value out of IT than they've had before. Cloud gives them the capability of doing that if we do it the right way. The real question comes down to, what do business do with their IT staff in this new world? And rather than spending labor costs on keeping the lights on, which has been the model for the last 30 years, they really can pivot and turn those folks into more higher business value options because they know the data, they know the process, they know how the business is working with this. And so rather than spending money on network engineers to keep servers running, those folks understand how the business uses that data and how their processes work, and work on optimizing that, driving insight, and using the technology that's in the cloud to really advance the business.
And thank you, Eric. I think this was a great first session. Really good insights here. So for the audience, we hope you enjoyed it too. And if this is something that you're interested in continuing to learn further, you can click the link below and there's some downloadable content for you. And then keep an eye out over the next couple of weeks for our next session. And this one is going to be on the total cost of the cloud and introduction to cloud economics. So again, thank you both, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.